It's mid to late August and it's definitely harvest time. This year I was not able to get a big vegetable garden going, so I relied heavily on my small kitchen garden right off my deck. It consists of two 4x4 cedar boxes my husband built for me a year ago. Let's do some harvesting and see how good everything is looking. Stay tuned and we'll do that right now. These carrots are really full. When you go to harvest carrots, you want to make sure there are no swallowtail butterfly caterpillars on them because they do love to lay their eggs here as well. This variety of carrots is a Danvers variety. It's a shorter growing one and grows stocky. Absolutely wonderful for roasting. I'm going to try to hand hold the camera as I go in here so you can see what I'm seeing. So I'm pulling back the tops and I'm looking for areas where I have orange sticking out so I can see that I've got somewhat mature carrots. And then I'm going to pull one up. I've got them planted a little thick in here, so I really want to maintain what I can. These ones look pretty good. This one's split because it had something in the way. Looking through here, I could find, here's a bigger one. I'd like them to be as big as possible. Here is one here. I'm going to pull this one up. There you can see they're much bigger. And they're tight, so I got some extra ones that come with it. But you can see how big those are. So there's my hand. You can see the carrots. These are just wonderful for roasting. So here is my harvest. You can see some of them are long and they're not short and squat. And it's going to be great for supper. I'm going to broil them up tonight. A lot of vegetables will store wonderfully in place in the garden until you actually need them. So you don't need to harvest them right away. Carrots is one of those examples, which you can harvest sometimes even after a frost, and they will still be fine because the fruit or the vegetable itself is protected in the ground. Carrots are one of those vegetables that I like to harvest right before I use them. Tonight I'm going to roast them with some fresh rosemary and thyme. Let's go pick that now. So this thyme is actually about 18 inches tall, and I'm going to cut it about halfway down because I want it to continue to produce. I probably could have used a pruner versus a scissors, but use what you have on hand. And I have some side shoots here. I'm going to just cut some of those off. So it smells wonderful. Delicious. Now let's go get some thyme. Thyme is one of my favorite herbs, and I'm simply going to come in and just cut handfuls of this. Got a petunia mixed in there. I don't want to cut that. So we're just going to give it a haircut. Thyme is such a wonderful herb. I use it on vegetables and meats. We use it in sauces. It's one of my favorite, I think, if not my most favorite herb. There's a nice handful of thyme. It's very aromatic. And basil is another delicate herb, and I've already harvested twice and made some great pesto, and I'm going to harvest again. Last year I did not harvest enough basil and I ran out of pesto. I don't want to make that mistake this year. So I've got my scissors here, my just kitchen shears, and a bucket of water. Let's zoom in and talk about harvesting basil. Hopefully this shows up on camera okay. So I've got my trusty bucket of water right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look down the stem, and where I'm cutting, I want to make sure I've got another set of leaves there. And then I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut it long. I'm going to cut and see what else I've got. And everywhere that there's an extra set of leaves down there, it will help it produce more, send up more and more leaves. So it will work really nice. I'm telling you, this stuff smells so good. It makes me want to cook right now, but I've got a lot of work to get done. I'm going to keep harvesting, get it tucked away in the water. And if it has any kind of flower on it in the top, if it's starting to flower, pull that off, or pull that off so that the basil is not bitter. When I go to make pesto, I find that sometimes I don't cut enough, And then I come out and I start harvesting some of the lower leaves. Here's a great example. Here's a great example where this is starting to flower. So I'm simply going to pinch that out. Because even when I put this in water, this will continue to grow. And if it's left in water long enough, it will actually start rooting, believe it or not. But I find that it really likes to be outside versus being in the house on a windowsill. So I'm just going to harvest as much as I can here. I had 2 plants in here. I'm going to cut this one a little bit lower because I really would like it to push out down lower. And again, you want to leave some leaves on there so it can continue to produce. But that's how you cut basil. This little corner has a ton of parsley, and I've cut it back once and it's really taken off, so I need to trim it back again. So I'm going to try to cut off the ones that are on the inside because it's encroaching on where I'm trying to grow other vegetables, and I really want the space. So I'm just going to try to cut this back. Again, I'm going to check the leaves for butterflies. I want to make sure I don't have any butterflies. Or, I'm sorry, I'm going to check the leaves for caterpillars. But I really don't want to ruin their nesting for them if they're already established. And I can move them to another leaf if I find any. They usually like to stay in the upper canopy, so I'm feeling pretty safe getting down in here. Smells wonderful, and I'll take some in the house and I'll continue looking through them to make sure I don't have any caterpillars in them, but I definitely need to cut this bunch back. Seeing if I could find one on camera here and I can show you. Not seeing any right now. There was a very large caterpillar out here the other day and I was really happy to see him. Mainly trim into the inside of this bush, so it looks much better. I've got a lot more room. The last caterpillar I saw was on the very outside here, so we'll leave that be. Here's how the parsley looks after I pruned it. Definitely try not to be in the shadow, trying to make some airflow going through there. Make sure I don't end up with a powdery mildew situation. I do have other things in here I want to harvest later, like peppers and lettuce. This pea plant has seen better days. It got really hot and humid a few weeks ago and I ended up with some powdery mildew. So I'm going to pick the viable pea pods off here. I like eating just the pea pods. And I'm going to pull these plants. I actually started a new set of peas to plant in this spot, hoping that I have enough sunlight left to get some peas in about 30 days. There's nothing like fresh pea pods right out of the garden. Yum. So this year I tried something new. I found these little slinky spiral vine trellises and I really liked it. So kind of rigged it up here on a post. So now I got to untangle this mess. So let's see how this is going to work. Good thing about pea pods is they're fairly shallow rooted, so they pull really easily. I'm just going to try to break them free from the ground here, or cut them off if I have to. And then I'll pull this whole thing off. So then I'm just going to start pulling on this. It's going to clear out a really nice section. Oh, that worked really well. So you can see I pulled it out. And I'm going to grab these, pull these out, get it to work. There's that slinky thing. How wonderful. Clean that area up a little bit. So now it's tidied up. Now I can come back in here and plant my new pea pods. So this is a tray that I planted about 3 weeks ago. You can see they're coming up. I've already used some of them in a different project for my brother-in-law, and I am just now going to use the rest of them here. I'm going to replant my little pea tower. So the first thing I'm going to do You can see this is like a slinky. So I'm going to let this set on top of this wood post, and it's anchored with some tent stakes down at the bottom to make sure it holds up. And I'm just going to wrap this around a couple of times and twisty it up. So that should stay for me. It's already worked really good so far, and I'm going to get more of these. These just were really, really handy. I really liked it. And then it collapses for storage, is easy for the winter. Now what I'm going to do is put some of these peas in the ground. Hopefully the wind doesn't interfere with my microphone. All I'm going to do is simply I'm going to pull each one of these peas up that are viable. You can see that they come up. Sometimes they have a root ball attached as far as the plant medium, and sometimes they don't. I did water this stuff yesterday. You can see there's where the pea was, and there's where the root system started. I definitely need to get them out of this propagation tray. And then I'm just going to keep them watered, and they will be fine. I'm just going to plant them about 4 inches apart. That root ball stayed together a little bit better. This has been a fun video. If you found it helpful, give us a thumbs up so YouTube knows to share this content with others. Also consider subscribing so you don't miss any of our other great videos. If you like how-to videos, check this playlist next. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.